Fiji, specifically the main island. We landed into Nandi this morning from Brisbane, where we spent a little bit of time on the Great Barrier Reef qualifying as open water divers. And the reason that we did that will become clear in the rest of this video, because we're here for the Beqa shark dive, where you can see up to 5-meter tiger sharks and some of the biggest bull sharks in the world being hand-fed. We're doing that tomorrow. I know you're looking longingly at the sand, wishing that we weren't, but I mean, how do you feel?
A bit apprehensive. Excited, but yeah, there's lots of very, very big scary sharks down there, and hopefully they don't want to eat me.
So yeah, come along for the journey, see what it's like. We're heading to a place called Beqa, which is the island just out there, hidden by a kind of ugly cruise ship at the moment. Hey man. Excellent. You alright?
Once everybody is okay, or if you have a problem, dive master will body up with you, try and solve out the situation. And everybody else, if you're good, dive master will be leading you down. Please let the dive masters lead you, don't lead the dive masters. Yeah? Now I know everybody all certified and has been diving for a long time, but please let the dive masters lead you down. You will know this once you reach the bottom over here. See a couple of our friends there. Now, nice and slowly coming down, the dive masters will lead you towards the first stop, which is 100 feet. 100 feet there, 30 meters. See the shady part here? These are man-made dead coral walls, about this high. Yeah. Now I need you to deflate everything out, kneel down, and hold on to the dead coral walls. Once everybody is all lined up there, then you will see one of the dive masters descending where the arena is, out in the blue, with the aluminium beam filled with your hands. You'll be hovering in mid-water and chucking down tuna heads right in front of your faces. One tuna head falls down, you'll see bull sharks, camel sharks, burning ocean, rushing towards you.
Now, you're probably wondering how this feels, how big the sharks are, and of course, how safe and ethical is this? But first, let me tell you what's happening here. We're approaching the end of the first of 2 dives. Having spent around 15 minutes at 30 metres, we can't just descend back to the surface. We've got to complete a safety stop. As we turn the dive masters behind us fend off any rogue bull sharks, whilst we swim up the reef to our first safety stop at 10 metres. Here, we were told there would be no bull sharks. However, this shark concerned me because it was huge and pretty bolshy in its approach to being fed. The metal box is filled each morning with fish heads, and this attracts the sharks in. Both dive masters wear chainmail to protect themselves, and as you'll see next, it's remarkably effective. The big shark I had wrongly identified as a rogue bull shark is in fact a sickle-fin lemon shark, which is an endangered species. As it swims in to retrieve its breakfast, it snags the dive master's hand in its ragged teeth, hooking the chainmail in its mouth. As you can see, it thrashes and tugs for what felt like an age, and I was half expecting something to go horribly wrong, but eventually it was released, and the dive master barely flinched, and the dive continued as though nothing had happened. An occupational hazard like no other. As we ascend again to our final safety stop, we hold on to a rope, whilst smaller black-tip reef sharks are fed literally centimetres away from us. After facing off with the giants in the deep, these sleek, agile sharks seemed almost serene in comparison. The tension lifted and I finally had a moment to take it all in. Back on the boat, we sipped tea and shared nervous laughs before gearing up to jump back in for a second dive.
Okay, my turn.
The adrenaline kicked in again as I stepped to the edge and plunged back in to the world of sharks.
Shark dive part 2. Let's do this.
This second dive is where everything changes. At 30 metres, we are lying flat on the seabed, on our stomachs, waiting for the bull sharks. This time, the tuna heads are dropped much closer to us, and the mighty bull sharks come to within arm's reach, and sometimes slap us in the face with their tails as they swim by and between us to retrieve the tuna. The visibility is significantly better this time, and I think the footage shows their sheer size and power even more impressively. In these waters, these magnificent predators can grow up to 4 metres long, weighing up to 600 kilos, which is much larger than anywhere else in the world. Bull sharks are infamous for being responsible for the most number of near-shore attacks on humans. Why? Well, their unique ability to thrive in both salt and fresh water means that they often venture into rivers and shallow coastal water that makes encountering them more likely than any other shark species. Globally, bull sharks have been linked to 192 recorded attacks, 41 of which were fatal, giving them a fatality rate of just over 20%. While great whites and tiger sharks lead in overall attack numbers, bull sharks are particularly feared for their aggressive nature. As you can see here, in Beqa, the sharks gather in extraordinary numbers because they are fed. They're far more interested in the tuna than the tourists, though stood behind me is a bodyguard who fends off any that get too close for comfort. The feeding happens daily, providing consistent interaction for divers, but does raise the question, is it ethical to feed wildlife, and does this alter their natural behaviour? Let me tell you a little about the history of this shark dive. It all started with a vision to protect sharks in Fiji's waters. Back in the early 2000s, local communities relied heavily on fishing in these areas, which threatened local shark populations. Recognising the need for conservation, Beqa adventure divers devised an innovative plan to create a marine reserve funded by shark dives. In Fiji, traditional fishing areas are managed by local villagers. The dive company negotiated with these villagers to stop fishing in exchange for a daily marine park levy of $13 paid by each diver. The funds collected go directly to the communities, supporting infrastructure, schools, and livelihoods. Over time, this partnership grew into what is now Fiji's first nationally designated marine protected area, the Shark Reef Marine Reserve. The results have been remarkable. Fish populations inside the reserve have rebounded dramatically. This spillover effect means fish migrate beyond the reserve's borders, benefiting nearby villages with sustainable fishing opportunities. Meanwhile, the sharks themselves have become an asset, drawing divers like us from all over the world. But as successful as this model is, shark feeding remains controversial. Some argue that feeding alters the sharks' natural behaviour, making them associate humans with food and disrupting their hunting patterns. It can also lead to unnatural gatherings, increasing competition and the risk of disease. However, long-term studies here at Beqa suggest that the proper management practices that have been implemented, such as the diving protocols being carefully designed, these impacts are minimal. For example, tuna heads are dropped strategically, ensuring that the sharks don't interact with the divers. And while the sharks are fed, the research that's been completed here demonstrates that the sharks still hunt in their natural habitats, maintaining their ecological role as apex predators. For me, lying here on the seabed and watching these bull sharks up close is unforgettable. It's terrifying at times, especially when they're so close and you can see every detail, but it's also humbling. These animals are not the villains they're so often portrayed as. They're graceful, powerful, and essential to the health of our oceans. Beyond the sharks, this dive, I think, is a testament to what can happen when humans and nature work together. The collaboration between the dive company and the local communities ensures not just the protection of the sharks, but the livelihoods of the people who depend on these waters. The levies paid by divers have funded schools, infrastructure, and even employment for villagers who now work as the dive masters and marine wardens in the reserve. This dive taught me a lot, not just about sharks, but also about the delicate balance of conservation and tourism. It's a reminder that while humans have the power to harm, we also have the choice to protect and coexist. And just like that, they tap on your tanks, you turn around and swim back up the reef with your back to 40 of the world's largest bull sharks. It's a pretty hurried escape back to the boat, where we can reflect on the amazing experience we just had.
How did you get on? Enjoy it?
Yeah, good. Very good.
Yeah? What was the highlight?
Well, no, all of it. You can't say a highlight. It's just crazy from start to finish.
There's a smiling face. Someone enjoying themselves?
Yeah, exactly.
Hang on. Stand over here.
So, live reactions, Lizzie.
That was epic.
That was, I think, one of the best things I've ever done. So that you do 2 dives, and the second one was a bit more relaxed, but they brought the sharks closer to us, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they're like inches away from your face.
And I was genuinely terrified. They would swim straight towards you and at the last minute turn away. The lens is very wide on the Action 5 that we've got filming, but I still hope it captures the essence of that.
Quite how close they come to you. You
Honestly,
were laying, on the second dive, you're laying down flat on the sea floor, and Luke was laying down, like touching me all along, and I could just feel him shaking the entire time.
we were quite deep and it was quite cold. That was the reason I was shaking. I was shivering. Yeah, I wasn't scared, obviously. Yeah, I could have taken one of those.
I think, yeah.
3 metre long
Once
bull
you're,
sharks.
Yeah, once you're in there, it feels like a sense of calm almost comes over you. I don't know if it's because you have to concentrate, because you're like, not only might the sharks bite me and kill me, but also the fact that I'm like under however many tons of water, that might also kill me. So
Yeah, I mean, speak for yourself. I was not calm. I was stressed. That was.
I was more nervous before.
Yeah, that was crazy. So yeah, hopefully the footage is good.